Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bold and Beautiful. Today, Ridge jumps into the ocean to save Brooke from drowning. Brooke torn between Ridge and Nick. Between Ridge Forrester and Nick Maroone, Brooke Logan is caught between the two. First and foremost, Lee will continue to provide Luna with private care, and now that she has taken a leave of absence from the hospital, she will have plenty of time for that. Lee will give Luna some love and make a strong promise, even if Luna is still recovering from her wounds and seems to be in a coma. According to BNB teasers, Lee will swear not to let Luna die and make plans to provide her with the stability Papi Nozawa never gave her as a child. Lee will provide Luna with family support and fully intend on nursing her back to health now that she is keeping an eye on her and keeping an eye on her condition. This isn't Lee's first time, as she previously snuck John Finnegan out of the hospital and surreptitiously assisted him in his recuperation. Lee will want to give Luna all the attention she has never given her before because she understands what she's doing. Of course, Wednesday's edition will also feature additional excitement from Italy. Brooke and Ridge will be present at the Forrester fashion show partnership with Italian designer Luisa Beccaria in Capri following their boat journey together. She will still be attracted to Nick even though Brooke and Ridge are going to have intimate moments together. Since Brooke would feel conflicted between Ridge and Nick, Eric Forrester will encourage his son to straighten up and get Brooke back before it's too late. Eric will issue another warning regarding Ridge opening his eyes and realizing that Brooke is his future because he will still feel that Ridge secretly prefers Brooke to Taylor Hayes. Italy drama, Ridge cornered Eric's intentions. Eric Forrester must be explicit about his goals. Ridge Forrester is forced to choose as a result. Additionally, the fashion show goes on, but there are hints of drama and issues. Eric Forrester's goals. First, let's talk about Eric, who has been working to bring Ridge back together. Ridge has currently made the decision to wed Taylor Hayes. Ridge made a commitment to Taylor despite his apparent affection for Brooke Logan. Given that hurting Taylor's heart previously resulted in a medical problem, Ridge might be too scared to disappoint her now. Anyway, Eric is clear about what he intends to do. Ridge will tell his father to get out of his romantic life once more. The choice made by Ridge Forrester. Additionally, it is hinted that Ridge will be forced to make a choice by Eric on Wednesday, July 30th. Ridge has already made up his mind, so it's not like he's confused. Now, several times. But Eric wants Ridge to make a decision once more. Eric probably has a plan in place to ensure that Ridge is unable to refuse Brooke any longer. However, that is a major betrayal to Taylor. The race of Nick Maroone. According to spoilers for tomorrow's episode of The Bold and the Beautiful, Nick Maroone intends to pop the question to Brooke. The boat is still under construction, though. Nick advised the man to move quickly because he had somewhere to be. I wonder if Eric ruins the boat in any way, making it more difficult for Nick to reach Brooke. Drama in a fashion show. Additionally, there is a hint that the fashion show will be dramatic. Fans are aware that Brooke's wedding dress, which was the showstopper at the last fashion show, was set up by Eric. Ridge was undoubtedly in awe of the blonde and couldn't take his eyes off of her. Ridge is aware, however, that he committed to Taylor. Taylor then happened to see that moment. Additionally, there might be some scenes involving Luna Nozawa and Lee Finnegan. Lee was suspected of fabricating Luna's death in order to fix her. But what happens if the truth is eventually revealed? Is redemption ever possible for Lee? Brooke Logan Forrester, a woman whose very name conjures images of tumultuous passion and unwavering conviction, finds herself adrift on a perilous sea of conflicting desires, her emotional compass spinning wildly between the magnetic pull of Nick Maroone's ardent, grounding devotion and the deep, tumultuous, soul-searing gravitational force that is Ridge Forrester, the man whose name is irrevocably intertwined with her own across decades of love, betrayal, forgiveness, and an almost mythic connection that defies reason and circumstance. This isn't merely a casual flirtation or a fleeting moment of indecision. This is a profound existential crisis unfolding in the glittering, high-stakes world of Forrester creations and the sun-drenched piazzas of Capri, where every stolen glance, every hesitant touch, every shared memory resonates with the weight of past vows and the terrifying allure of an uncharted future. The familiar, complex tapestry of her life, woven with threads of triumph and heartbreak, family loyalty, and fierce independence, is unraveling at the seams, threatening to leave her exposed and vulnerable before the two men who represent starkly different paths, one towards a passionate stability she craves but fears she doesn't deserve, embodied by Nick's unwavering faith and open-hearted pursuit, and the other back into the intoxicating, all-consuming, yet perpetually volatile inferno of Bridge, a love story so epic, so deeply etched into the bedrock of her identity, that walking away feels akin to self-amputation, even amidst its frequent scorching burns and betrayals, especially Ridge's recent, painful detour back to Taylor Hayes, a wound still raw and throbbing beneath the surface of her carefully composed facade. Ridge, despite his confounding choices and maddening indecision, remains her North Star, the architect of her most profound joys and most devastating sorrows. His very presence, the familiar scent of his cologne, the intensity in his dark eyes, the way his designer's hands move with unconscious grace, triggers a visceral reaction, a flood of memories, stolen kisses in design rooms, whispered promises under moonlight, the fierce protectiveness during countless crises, the devastating pain of his abandonment, that binds her to him with chains forged in the fires of shared history and an undeniable, almost biological, attraction that simmers constantly beneath the surface, impossible to extinguish. Yet, Nick Marone emerges as a compelling counterpoint, a sanctuary amidst the storm. His love is a steady flame, warm and reassuring, free from the exhausting baggage of the Forrester-Logan feud, devoid of the constant specter of Taylor or the manipulative shadows of Stephanie Forrester's lingering disapproval. With Nick, Brooke glimpses a different possibility, a love built on mutual respect, unwavering support, and a simpler, perhaps less dramatic, happiness, a chance to breathe freely, unburdened by the relentless expectations and comparisons that define her life with Ridge. Nick sees her, Brooke, the woman, the fighter, the survivor, not just Ridge's Brooke or the Logan sister, and his belief in her goodness, his patient understanding of her complexities, offers a balm to her perpetually bruised spirit, a haven of acceptance she desperately craves. This agonizing duality manifests palpably even amidst the breathtaking beauty of Capri, where Brooke and Ridge, drawn together by the demands of Forrester business, specifically the prestigious collaboration with Italian designer Luisa Beccaria, find themselves momentarily suspended in a bubble of romantic nostalgia during a serene boat ride across the impossibly blue Tyrrhenian Sea. The gentle rocking of the vessel, the sun warming their skin, the shared laughter over old memories creating an almost palpable intimacy, a powerful reminder of the unique magic they can conjure, the deep, resonant chord that only they seem able to strike within each other. Later, amidst the glittering spectacle of Luisa Beccaria's Forrester fashion show, Brooke is undeniably radiant in Ridge's creations, a testament to their enduring creative synergy, their eyes locking across the runway with a familiar, electric current that speaks volumes without a word, a silent communication forged over years of partnership and passion. However, even as she stands beside Ridge in this moment of professional triumph and latent personal connection, the image of Nick, his earnest concern, his steadfast loyalty, his promise of a calmer love, flickers persistently in her mind's eye, a counter-melody to Ridge's potent symphony. She feels physically pulled, her heart a battlefield where the ghosts of Bridge past clash violently with the tangible, hopeful future Nick represents. This visible internal fracturing does not escape the keen, paternal gaze of Eric Forrester, who, observing Brooke's subtle hesitations, the fleeting shadows in her eyes even during moments of apparent closeness with Ridge, recognizes the dangerous precipice upon which his son stands. Eric, the family patriarch who has witnessed the entire epic saga of Brooke and Ridge unfold, understands the depth of their connection but also sees, with startling clarity, the genuine threat Nick Marone poses, not as a villain, but as a truly viable alternative offering Brooke the peace she has so rarely known. Fearing Ridge is blinded by residual pride, lingering confusion from his Taylor interlude, or simply taking Brooke's enduring love for granted, Eric confronts his son with a sense of urgent paternal wisdom, pulling him aside amidst the Capri glamour to deliver a stark, heartfelt warning. Brooke is slipping away, caught in the agonizing pull between two loves, and if Ridge doesn't awaken from his complacency, if he doesn't actively fight with every fiber of his being to prove unequivocally that Brooke is his ultimate choice, his destiny, his future, not just a comforting default, he risks losing her forever to the man offering sanctuary without the perpetual storm. Eric, sensing the bedrock truth beneath Ridge's recent wavering, that his son's soul, however conflicted, ultimately belongs to Brooke, implores him to open his eyes, to see the fragile window of opportunity closing, to cast aside doubt and reclaim the woman who is his equal, his muse, his greatest love story, before Nick's steady devotion solidifies into an unbreakable bond Brooke cannot, or will not, resist. Brooke's torment is thus amplified by this external pressure. Eric's intervention forces the looming decision into sharper focus. Can she truly forsake the epic, defining passion of her life with Ridge, the father of her children, the man whose very touch can ignite her soul, even knowing its inherent volatility and his capacity for causing her profound pain? Or does she finally choose the path of self-preservation and embrace the profound, calming love Nick offers, a love promising stability and unwavering devotion, a chance to build something new, perhaps less dazzlingly intense, but potentially more enduring and peaceful? Each stolen moment with Ridge and Capri rekindles embers she thought banked, reminding her why she has fought for him so relentlessly, while the mere thought of Nick's absence creates a chilling void, a fear of losing the one safe harbor she's found in recent years. She is truly torn, not superficially, but at the very core of her being, adrift between the Scylla of a love that is her history and her heartbeat, yet fraught with peril, and the Charybdis of a love that offers sanctuary and peace, yet demands she relinquish the defining narrative of her adult life. The choice isn't just between two men, it's a choice between two fundamental versions of herself, the Brooke forever intertwined with Ridge in a grand, often tragic, opera, or the Brooke who steps into a different, quieter, yet potentially more fulfilling, chapter defined by Nick's steadfast love. The exquisite agony of her indecision hangs heavy in the Mediterranean air, a silent counterpoint to the celebratory clinking of glasses at the fashion show, promising that the return to Los Angeles will not bring resolution, but only intensify the storm brewing within Brooke Logan's fiercely loving, yet profoundly conflicted, heart, as she stands poised on the knife edge of a decision that will irrevocably reshape her destiny. Brooke Logan, caught in the malevolent grip of a rogue wave far stronger and swifter than its languid predecessors, vanished beneath the churning surface with a gasp swallowed by the ocean's roar, her arms flailing in a futile, terrifying arc before disappearing into the deep green gloom, leaving only frantic bubbles marking her descent into the suffocating embrace of the cold, unforgiving water. Ridge Forrester, frozen for a heart-stopping, world-collapsing instant on the warm sand where moments ago he'd been arguing with her, stupid, pointless words about trust and business, and Logan's stubbornness now ashes in the furnace of his terror, felt the primal scream tear from his throat, raw and guttural, a sound ripped from the core of his being that echoed the sheer, paralyzing horror flooding his veins like ice, his designer shirt suddenly a suffocating shroud, his polished loafers anchors of absurdity as his entire existence telescoped down to that single, violently disturbed patch of water where Brooke had been, the water now mocking him with its deceptive return to rhythmic swells, hiding the life-or-death struggle happening just feet below, the life of the woman who was his impossible constant, his greatest mistake and his deepest truth, the brilliant, infuriating, luminous force who held the fractured pieces of his heart whether he admitted it or not. Adrenaline, pure and blinding, exploded through him, incinerating thought, incinerating hesitation, incinerating everything except the absolute, non-negotiable imperative: get to her. Time warped, stretched thin and brittle, the distance from shore to the spot felt like miles, an impossible gulf, yet his body was already moving, muscles coiling and unleashing with a force born of desperation, legs churning through the yielding sand then slamming into the shockingly cold surf, the water rising fast, first ankle deep, then knee deep, then waist deep, each step a battle against the drag, against the panic threatening to lock his limbs, his eyes never leaving the point of her disappearance, scanning frantically for a flash of blonde hair, a pale hand, any sign amidst the shifting, treacherous blues and greens. Another wave, smaller but still powerful, crashed into him, saltwater stinging his eyes, filling his mouth with the bitter tang of fear and the ocean, nearly knocking him off balance, but he surged forward, diving under the collapsing wall of water, emerging gasping on the other side, now chest deep, then shoulder deep, the bottom falling away beneath his feet into the unknown deep, and with a final, powerful kick against the yielding sand, he launched himself forward in a frantic, inelegant dive, plunging headfirst into the chilling, opaque world below the surface, the sunlight diffusing into a murky, green twilight filled with swirling sand and dancing bubbles, the roar of the world above instantly muffled into a distorted, watery silence broken only by the frantic pounding of his own heart thundering in his ears, a drumbeat of pure terror. Visibility was poor, maybe 3 feet in the churned-up water, shapes blurring into menacing shadows, his eyes burning from the salt as he strained to see, sweeping his arms desperately through the cold void, touch becoming his primary sense, fingers splayed, reaching, grasping at nothing but water, cold, relentless water, the seconds stretching into agonizing eternities, each one a hammer blow on his hope. Where is she? God, please, where is she? The crushing weight of failure, the image of her lifeless body, began to seep into his mind like poison, threatening to paralyze him, but he kicked harder, dove deeper, driven by a love so fierce it burned through the icy fear, a love that had weathered countless storms, betrayals, and separations, yet remained the bedrock, the undeniable gravity pulling him towards her always. Then, a faint movement caught the corner of his eye, a pale flicker against the darker water near a rocky outcrop. Just ahead, and he turned, kicking violently, arms pulling him through the resistance, and there she was. Brooke, suspended in the eerie green gloom, her eyes wide with pure, unadulterated terror, her mouth open in a silent scream, bubbles streaming upwards like desperate prayers, her limbs moving weakly, slowly, the dreadful lethargy of oxygen deprivation already setting in, her beautiful, expressive face contorted in the agony of drowning, her long hair swirling around her like dark seaweed. Her body drifting downwards as the last of her strength ebbed away. The sight was a physical blow, a knife twisting in his gut, amplifying his terror 1,000-fold, but it also ignited a final, superhuman surge of determination. He arrowed towards her, closing the gap in seconds that felt like lifetimes, ignoring the burning in his lungs, ignoring the cold sapping his strength, his sole focus the precious, fragile life before him. He reached her just as her struggles ceased, her body going frighteningly limp, her eyes fluttering closed, the terrifying stillness of surrender, wrapping one arm tightly around her chest, locking her against him with a grip born of utter desperation, feeling the terrifying lack of movement in her ribcage, the chilling coolness of her skin even through the water. He planted his feet against the rough rock for leverage and pushed upwards with every ounce of strength left in his exhausted body. Kicking furiously towards the wavering light above, towards air, towards life, Brooke a dead weight in his arms, her head lolling back against his shoulder, her face terrifyingly pale and peaceful in a way that screamed wrong. The ascent felt interminable, his own lungs screaming for air, black spots dancing at the edges of his vision, the surface shimmering mockingly just out of reach, the weight of her, the weight of his fear, the weight of the water itself threatening to drag them both back. Down into the silent dark, finally, with a final, agonizing kick, his head broke the surface, and he gasped in a huge, ragged breath of blessed, salty air that burned his throat, immediately looking down at Brooke, her face still submerged, her lips blue-tinged, her chest utterly still. No! The cry was ripped from him, raw and desperate. Treading water violently, fighting to keep them both afloat, he shifted her weight, tilting her head back, pinching her nose, and sealing his mouth over hers, forcing his own precious breath into her lungs, once, twice, feeling the terrifying lack of response, the awful stillness. On the third breath, her body convulsed violently against him, a harsh, racking cough erupted from her, spewing seawater onto his shoulder, and then she was gasping, choking, drawing in huge, shuddering breaths of air. Her eyes flying open wide, filled with disorientation and residual terror, her body trembling uncontrollably in his iron grasp as consciousness flooded back, sharp and painful. "Ridge," she choked out, her voice a raw, waterlogged whisper, her eyes locking onto his, the recognition dawning amidst the shock and fear. Holding her tightly against his chest, feeling the frantic, beautiful hammering of her heart against his own, feeling the warm reality of her breath on his wet skin, the sheer, overwhelming relief that crashed over him was so profound it was almost painful, a tidal wave washing away the terror, leaving him trembling, weak-kneed even as he treaded water, his own breath coming in ragged sobs that mingled with hers, his forehead resting against her soaking hair, whispering her name over and over. Like a sacred mantra, Brooke. Brooke. Brooke, not caring about the saltwater stinging his eyes, not caring about the exhaustion threatening to pull him under, only caring about the miracle of life, warm and gasping and real, clutched fiercely against him, the woman he loved, the woman he almost lost, saved from the abyss by a leap fueled by a love deeper than any ocean, a bond tested and proven unbreakable in the crucible of absolute desperation, the cold, indifferent vastness of the Pacific now merely the backdrop to their shared, shuddering breath, their clinging embrace, the unspoken vow echoing louder than the surf, never again.